April 3rd, 1934. Little Italy, Manhattan, 2:17 p.m., 1 second. Lucky Luciano was negotiating a territory deal with 3 Irish gang leaders at Umberto's restaurant. The next second, the middle one, Sean Chains O'Malley, pulled a blackjack from his coat and swung it at Lucky's head. Sean Chains O'Malley, 5'11", 210 pounds, Boston Irish, enforcer for the Westies gang, 23 kills to his name. Called Chains because he wrapped a bicycle chain around his knuckles when he worked, made every punch break bones, and he'd just swung a lead-filled blackjack at the back of Lucky Luciano's skull. The blackjack connected, skull met lead, the sound echoed through the restaurant. Crack, like a baseball bat hitting a fence post. Lucky dropped, face first, hit the table, then the floor. Blood immediately, pooling, spreading across the tile. The 3 Irish men stood up, looked down at Lucky's unconscious body. "That's for Vinny," Sean said. Vinny Malone, Irish soldier Lucky had killed 3 months ago in a dock dispute. Self-defense. But the Irish didn't care about details. They cared about blood. Sean kicked Lucky's ribs. Once, twice, 3 times. Each kick drove air from Lucky's lungs. Each kick sent pain signals his unconscious brain couldn't process yet. "Leave him," the second Irish man said. "Patrick Doyle, Sean's cousin. He's done. Let's go before his people show up." They walked out, casual, like they'd just finished lunch, left Lucky bleeding on the floor of Umberto's. 30 witnesses watched them leave. Nobody moved. Nobody helped. Fear kept everyone frozen. Meyer Lansky arrived 6 minutes later. Someone had called him. "Lucky's down at Umberto's. Bad." Meyer found Lucky on the floor, still unconscious, blood everywhere, face swollen, ribs possibly broken. "Get him to the car," Meyer said to 2 soldiers who'd come with him. "Not the hospital. Take him to the safe house. Get Doc Romano. Nobody talks about this. Understand?" They understood, because if word spread that Lucky Luciano had been knocked unconscious with a blackjack in his own restaurant, every gang in New York would see it as weakness, would test him, would push. To understand what happened next, you need to understand what that blackjack meant. In their world, violence had rules. You could shoot a man during a war. You could kill him in self-defense. You could even ambush him if you declared your intentions first. But you didn't sucker punch a boss during a negotiation. You didn't use a weapon in a peaceful meeting. You didn't knock someone unconscious and walk away laughing. That wasn't war. That was disrespect. And disrespect required a different kind of response. Lucky woke up 8 hours later in a bedroom he didn't recognize. Head pounding. Vision blurry. Ribs screaming with every breath. Meyer was sitting in a chair by the window. "You're awake." "Where am I?" "Safe house. Brooklyn. Doc Romano says you have a concussion. 3 cracked ribs. Lucky the skull didn't fracture. Lucky touched the back of his head, felt the bandage, felt the lump underneath, the size of a golf ball. "Sean O'Malley," Lucky said. Not a question, a statement. He remembered. The negotiation, the blackjack, the sound. "Yeah." Him and 2 others walked out after. "Left you on the floor." 30 people saw it happen. Lucky sat up. Pain shot through his ribs. He ignored it. How many people know about the blackjack? Maybe 50 by now. Word spreading. Some people think you're dead. Others think you're in hiding. Nobody knows you're here. Good. Lucky stood up, slowly. Every movement hurt. "Keep it that way. I don't want anyone knowing I'm conscious until I'm ready." "Ready for what?" Lucky walked to the mirror, looked at his face. Swollen, bruised. The left side purple, the right side yellow. Eyes bloodshot. Ready to show Sean O'Malley what happens when you hit Lucky Luciano with a blackjack during a negotiation. Meyer leaned forward. "Charlie, you can't go after 3 Irish gang members while you're concussed and can barely walk. I'm not going after them." Lucky turned around, looked at Meyer. His eyes were clear despite the pain. "I'm going to let them come to me, and when they do, I'm going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." "How?" Lucky smiled, slightly, despite the pain it caused. "I'm going to walk into their bar, alone, unarmed, and I'm going to sit down at their table." Meyer stared at him. "That's suicide." "No, that's showing them that a blackjack doesn't scare me, that walking away doesn't mean they won, that Lucky Luciano doesn't hide when someone hits him. They'll kill you, maybe, but they'll have to do it in front of their whole crew, in their own bar. And then Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, and Albert Anastasia will burn that bar to the ground with everyone inside." Meyer was quiet for a long moment. "Then when?" 72 hours. Give my head time to clear. Give the swelling time to go down. Then I walk in. For 3 days, Lucky stayed in the Brooklyn safe house. Doc Romano changed bandages, gave medicine, told him to rest. Lucky planned instead. Maya brought maps. McGinty's pub on West 39th Street. Irish headquarters, 30 men, all armed. They'll shoot you on sight, Frank said when he visited. They used a blackjack, not a gun, Lucky replied. Sean wanted humiliation, not death. I'm returning the favor. Albert brought weapons on day 3. At least take a gun. No weapons. This is about showing them violence, doesn't control me. April 6, 1934. McGinty's pub, 8 p.m. The pub was packed. Friday night, payday. 30 Irish gang members drinking, laughing, counting the week's protection money. Sean Chains O'Malley sat at the back table with Patrick Doyle and the third man from the Umberto's attack, Tommy Byrne. They were celebrating. 3 days since the Blackjack. No retaliation, no response. Lucky Luciano was either hiding or dead. Either way, they'd won. The pub door opened. Every conversation continued. Nobody looked, just another customer. Then someone near the door went quiet. Then the person next to him. Then the next. Like a wave of silence spreading through the pub. Sean looked up, saw what everyone else was seeing. Lucky Luciano, walking through McGinty's pub, alone. His face was still swollen, still bruised. The left side purple and yellow, bandage visible on the back of his head where the blackjack had hit. But he was walking, steady, calm, head up. The pub went completely silent. 30 Irish gang members stopped drinking, stopped talking, stopped breathing. Lucky walked straight to Sean's table, didn't look left or right, didn't acknowledge the stares, just walked, steady steps, no hesitation. He reached the table. Sean was standing now, hand moving toward his waistband. Patrick and Tommy were standing too, all 3 armed. Lucky looked at Sean, looked directly into his eyes, then spoke, voice quiet, but clear enough for the entire pub to hear. I came to finish our negotiation. Sean's hand was on his gun, not drawn, just touching it. You've got balls, Luciano, walking in here. Sit down, Lucky said. Let's talk business. You should be dead. That blackjack should have cracked your skull. Should have. Didn't. Now sit down. The entire pub was watching. 30 armed men, all waiting to see what Sean would do. Would he shoot Lucky right there? Would he throw him out? Would he finish what the blackjack started? Sean didn't move. Couldn't, because shooting an unarmed man in his own bar in front of his own crew would make him look weak, would make it look like he was afraid. Why are you here? Sean asked. Lucky pulled out a chair, sat down, slowly, the ribs screaming. He ignored them. I'm here because we had a negotiation 3 days ago. You interrupted it with a blackjack. But the negotiation wasn't finished, so I'm finishing it. You're crazy. Maybe, but I'm here, at your table, in your pub, and you're going to listen to what I have to say. Patrick leaned toward Sean, whispered. Boss, we should... Shut up, Sean said. Then to Lucky, talk fast. Lucky looked around the pub, made eye contact with 5 different men, made sure they were all paying attention, then looked back at Sean. The dock territory, West 42nd to West 47th. You want it. I control it. We were negotiating a split before you decided to use your blackjack. And here's my new offer. You get nothing. 0. Those docks stay mine. You stay out. You don't collect. You don't operate. You don't even walk through. Sean's face went red. You walk into my pub and tell me I get nothing. Yes, I should kill you right now. But you won't, Lucky said. His voice was still calm, still quiet. Because if you kill me, Meyer Lansky burns this pub down with everyone inside. Frank Costello takes every territory you own. Albert Anastasia hunts down everyone in your crew. And the Westies gang disappears. You threatening me in my own place? I'm stating facts. You hit me with a blackjack because you wanted to humiliate me, to make me look weak, to make me hide. Lucky stood up, slowly, every movement visible pain, but he stood. But I'm not hiding. I'm here, in front of your crew, telling you that your territory play failed, that you get nothing, and that if you ever swing a blackjack at me again, it better kill me, because if I wake up, I'll walk into wherever you're hiding, and we'll have this conversation again. Lucky turned toward the door, started walking. Sean's hand was still on his gun. Lucky stopped, didn't turn around. This isn't over, Sean said. Yes, it is, Lucky said. You just don't know it yet. Lucky walked out of McGinty's pub. The door closed behind him. The silence held for 3 more seconds. Then someone spoke. Then someone else. Then the conversation started again, but quieter. nervous, because they'd all just watched Lucky Luciano walk into their headquarters with a concussed head and cracked ribs and tell their boss he gets nothing, and Sean O'Malley hadn't done anything about it. 72 hours later, the message came through a neutral intermediary. The Westies were pulling out of the dock territory dispute. They wouldn't challenge Lucky's control. They wouldn't push for a split. Sean O'Malley sent word directly, "We're done. Keep your docks." Maya asked Lucky how he knew it would work. "How'd you know he wouldn't just shoot you in that pub?" Lucky touched the bandage on his head. "Still there. Still healing. Because Sean wanted to humiliate me, not kill me. If he wanted me dead, he would have used a gun at Umberto's, not a Blackjack. So when I walked into his pub, he was trapped. If he shoots an unarmed man who came to negotiate, his own crew thinks he's a coward. But if he lets me talk and walk out, I win. Either way, I controlled the situation, and if you were wrong, if he did shoot," Lucky smiled, "then you, Frank, and Albert would have burned that pub down like I said, and the Westies would still lose. They just would have lost after killing me instead of before." Frank shook his head. "Taking a blackjack to the skull changed you, Charlie." "No," Lucky said. "It reminded me. Violence only works if the other person is afraid of it. Sean used violence to make me hide. I walked back in to show him I'm not afraid. That's the difference between us. He needs weapons. I just need the willingness to show up." Years later, a reporter asked Sean O'Malley about that night at McGinty's pub. "Why didn't you shoot him? He was right there, alone. You had 30 men. Sean took a long drink. Because he wasn't alone. Meyer Lansky was waiting outside. Frank Costello had men on the roof across the street. Albert Anastasia was probably in a car down the block. Lucky walked in alone, but we all knew what would happen if he didn't walk out. So it was a bluff. No, it was a calculation. Lucky knew we'd rather keep operating than start a war we couldn't win. So he walked in, told us the new terms, and walked out, and we took the terms because the alternative was worse." "Do you regret hitting him with the blackjack?" Sean was quiet for a moment. "Every day, because that blackjack was supposed to show Harlem that Lucky Luciano was weak. Instead, it showed everyone that you can knock him unconscious and he'll still wake up and come for you. That's not weakness, that's something else entirely. If this story showed you what courage looks like, hit subscribe. We're uncovering the moments when violence failed and intelligence won. When a blackjack to the head became the moment that proved Lucky Luciano couldn't be intimidated. Turn on notifications. Lucky Luciano never hid, even when his head was split open. Drop a comment. Walk into danger or send soldiers, which takes more courage. Lucky Luciano, 1897-1962. The man who took a blackjack to the skull and walked into his attacker's headquarters 3 days later. The boss who proved that showing up unarmed takes more strength than showing up armed. Rest in power.